Alright, so let's give this playthrough a shot, because if I don't actually start it tonight, I'm not going to finish it tonight. Okay, so you start, I guess, with Madison. He's got a number of choices here. Get to those options. I don't have them. See, the player cards do give you a decent amount of information, but I find it easier to read at a distance with that large type. So, okay. I'm just looking at this and saying, in general, I think I want to try to dominate here. I think the debates, I don't know enough about what's going to be the final lay of the land, so I don't really want to make those arguments necessarily right away, although perhaps there's value to that. So let's look at what I have here. I have a number of people. Now maybe events are more interesting, and they've got kind of a disparity of positions. In this case, this is a large state position, and let me see my states here as well. My states are all spread out as well. So I don't feel like I have a lot of points to really choose towards going towards any of those. So let me look at the events, see if I have anything there I want. Each player with more influence markers in the committee must remove one of them. That sounds valuable, but not right now. Take the delegate from the top of the discard pile and either declare its vote or enact its event as if it was in your caucus. That would be useful. Declare Broom's vote as well as that of any other delegate from your caucus. Votes may be declared for 2 different states this way. That might be interesting, especially if I have a couple of smaller states. I've got Delaware, and perhaps I could use, I don't know. I think it's better to go against the tide, so use maybe this pair up against it. Since Pennsylvania is a large state, I'd rather hold that. Unbearable heat. Discard all other persistent events. No further events. Yeah, that doesn't sound interesting. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this Jacob Brune and declare his vote as well as the Georgian vote. And I'm going to declare them on the against side here. And I think I put a marker for each of these. And you can already see a problem there. And now, and maybe I wanted to just discard to draw more votes, but right now I've got Georgia and Delaware against. So, if I can find Delaware, that gets me to a kind of a jump here. I can't draw new cards because I'm at 3. And I guess, well, I need to explain my usual. I always play counterclockwise for some reason. Normally I play clockwise, but it's just so ingrained in my head. So I'll move on to Pickney, and we'll see what he does. And I'm going to, do at least the first round of action in kind of some detail, but then try to gloss over the game and play it more quickly because it's easier for me, among other things, but also because I don't think there's much you need to see, and I won't be making as many mistakes, honestly, which are interesting. Okay, now here I have a couple of Delaware people on the small state side, which would be against or elsewhere, but I can't play them both if it's elsewhere. I have a couple of Federalists here in Virginia. And let me look at my abilities. Get a point for each delegate in your caucus, not including McClurg. Well, that sounds valuable. I can just grab myself 4 victory points for this. I think that sounds more valuable than anything else I can do. Let me look at some of these others. Choose one other player and examine their delegates, selecting one and add it to your own. That sounds interesting too. Let no one fear the states. Remove the controlling powers influence marker from the top of 2 state delegations, and which include at least a Federalist. That sounds like a powerful ability as well. Teacher of Presidents. Now this would be my 2nd Virginia delegate. Gain a point for every 3 influence markers, including any which are currently in play. That doesn't sound very valuable. This sounds really valuable at this moment because I have so many cards in my hand. So I'm just going to play this as an event and grab myself, I guess, of the Federalist faction. Oh, I don't think I have a lot of Federalists. I gotta learn to read someday. Well, that's 2 points. I still think that's pretty good. I'm going to do that because this is a game about victory points. Does it make any sense? Not really. I don't know what it's supposed to mean. Hey, why don't we look and see if maybe the designer gave some reason why James McClure has that particular McClurg. Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's any real reason to give points for this. It just feels like, oh, we didn't have something to put on him, and there's a powerful event that can keep him from being used as, you know, a political force, which he really wasn't, apparently, according to the little sketch there. He tried to speak once or twice, never with any effect. Okay, let's move on to Roger Sherman's collection. And again, we have no, you know, ideology here but for what's in the card, and that can shift as your hand shifts. Okay, now let's look at his state choices. He seems to have a pile of people for Connecticut. That's a powerful possibility, but Connecticut doesn't have a lot of people, so one person may be enough. Each delegate of the small states, well, there aren't many of them, that would be another victory point gainer. Here, for the remainder of the current round, gain 1 point each time you declare a delegation on the nay side under consideration. Well, that sounds pleasing. I like that. Declare Wilson's vote. Wilson may vote for or against the article currently under consideration, regardless of the bias it affects. Yeah, so his little counter doesn't really matter. And Maryland, doubts of own infallibility. If Maryland has already declared its vote, replace the controlling player's influence marker with one of your own. Well, that's kind of cool. I'd like to hold on to that because I think that's powerful. So this one looks the most interesting to me. For the remainder of the current round, gain 1 point each time you declare a delegation on the nay side. I'm not sure I really want to be on the nay side, but you can see my cards are kind of damaged. I don't know if that came from the fall. This looks more like a printing error. Go with that. And over here, Hamilton. And you know, it's going to disturb me if Hamilton starts going anti-federalist, right? I mean, I don't know. Let's see what we have. We have a lot of Pennsylvanians. Now, here's the problem. Each state's only worth 1 vote, so having a lot, you know, being able to persuade a big state into something isn't necessarily very powerful. The only way you can get a big state may be with a handful of cards for it, but I'm not sure I really want to cast these. So let's look at what else we have. Man of few words. Gain 3 points if you have fewer points than all other players. Well, I don't think I have fewer than all other. I'm tied, even though there's things that have a perennial patriot. Gain 1 point if either of the 2 articles currently under consideration reflect a Federalist bias, or 2 points if they both do. Well, they do not. Pennsylvania, General's Host. For the remainder of the current round, no other player may play George Washington for any purpose except as a discard when snubbing delegates. You may play him yourself. I don't know how valuable he is. Pennsylvania, 4th of July. Discard all but 1 delegate from each state delegation which has already declared its vote. That might be a way to modify and weaken some of those current votes, but I don't see much I really want to do here. I'm going to play, now I'm a Federalist, and unfortunately an anti-Federalist. Those don't really matter, so I'm just going to play him. And do I want to oppose this? Opposing it seems to be where the strength lies right now. This guy has already declared himself opposed, and I don't see any real reason not to play in the way it's swaying. So I'm going to go against this one as well. And that puts me over here to William Patterson. It's our last player this round around, and then I'll pause and kind of play things out without going into the details as much. No one may speak in debate for the remainder of the current round. That's probably not valuable right now. Now let's set my states out. I have a couple for New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, New Jersey right now. Oh, North Carolina went against. I gotta mark that. Okay. So, examine currently in the draw pool, play it as though it's your event. That looks powerful. He's not a value. For the remainder of the round, draw your caucus up to 4 turns instead of 3. Nice, but not right now. Gain 2 points if this is the final round of the game. Not going to happen. No one may speak in debate. So here's the thing. You don't want to be on a losing cause, right? Now, my focus looks more towards the positive, though. Do I think I can sway against what looks like 3 other players, and already this movement, the decision on this? Can I have the election of the president the way it's stated? Well, this is tough, because I do have this Pennsylvania guy, but I can play him for his event instead. So I'm going to also jump on the bandwagon here and throw myself in to put New Hampshire in the no column. Is this all wise? Should there be more competition? Well, it's hard to tell, because you don't want to be on the losing side. Your pieces just don't count. You get wiped off for that. If you're going to just be on the losing side, you probably want to be playing debates instead. But the more there's a snowballing effect on the voting side, the less and less it becomes possible to turn things over. All right. Well, I'll move back, but I'm not going to follow in such detail as people play. So I'll be back in a bit. Well, the play shifted a little bit right away on the Madison card. He's playing this for a debate and puts a debate block up here, hoping to get one of these anti-federalist cards. But then I look, I'm low on cards, and I've got to grab myself one of these, and every single one of them is a big state card, which is against what's going on here. I don't know what I want to do in my hand in terms of packaging. Do I want to grab another Massachusetts? There is another one there. It would more or less dominate and say I own Massachusetts if I do that. On the other hand, nobody's in South Carolina, so I'm going to grab the South Carolina card. Now, I could look at everyone else's cards, and that's one of the problems with playing this solitaire, or even I think playing it opposed, is that I'm not saying people have a handful of cards here, but even spread out, it's hard to tell what it is, and you kind of have to really lean over and see other people's stuff. Anyway, I pulled this card, and that looks kind of cool. And now the top guy off here, which we knew was going to be another big state from Georgia, comes in, but we don't know what the next one was before we drew that. So there's some sort of kind of a advanced planning to all of this. All right, onward. Okay, and now we had a couple more votes placed on the no side. Pennsylvania's up there too now. And the motion has failed. More than that, the round has ended, and we've got to see kind of what happens there. Let's go over this. First, we deal with the assembly room. And for this, well, those who voted on the winning side will be gaining points for each delegate card in those delegations. So actually playing more cards gives you more points. That's kind of an interesting thought. I'm going to, given that, I'm going to change my decision here and play 2 more cards here in the Pennsylvania delegation. And that allows him to draw cards for which he will take let's see, Massachusetts has only 4, Georgia has only 4, and again, I should be looking at everyone else's cards. There's a Massachusetts. Are there any other Pennsylvanias out? There is another Pennsylvania out. So what I'm going to take is Georgia and Massachusetts. Well, actually, I don't have to take them in that order. So I'm going to take Georgia first. Oh no, I have to take them in order, and I'll take a Pennsylvania, and then that refills these. That's before. Yeah, I can only choose from there. Okay, but now we go to the count here, and let's see. White is going to get 2 points for being in favor of the way this goes. Gray is going to get 4 points for the amount of delegates they have. Pink only gets 1, and this is going to be hard to keep track of. Blue is going to get 2. Basically, it's going to be hard to see what is going on there. Now, these delegates, the influence, wait, what? All delegates made with all influence markers returned to the player. What? I thought oh, that's the assembly room. No, that's the assembly room. Okay. Any player who had an influence marker on the winning side gains points for them. All delegate cards are then discarded and all influence markers returned to the players. I thought these went into the committee room. No, it's only the losing side that goes into the committee room. And here I had people thinking they're flooding into the committee room, and I'm playing it completely wrong. The reality is the losing side goes in there, so there's a reason to try to spark debate, because you'll get some of the power here. Oops. All right, well, at least everybody got points for the people that they put on the winning side. But now we see, if we had gone down to the committee room, okay, this failed, so it's flipped to its losing side. And now let's look down. If we had gone to the committee room, somebody would get points based on the number of states that they had in losing sides. So in a sense, anything you put in here kind of stays. Now, keeping your pieces in here, losing this doesn't look like it's terribly valuable. And then the final thing is, these go here. And these are returned. And no, I'm not at all making a suggestion that I'm making good strategy here, because I don't even know the rules, obviously, which is no big shock. And all influence markers are returned. Okay, so that's the end of that round. We just finished Hamilton's turn, so our first player is going to be Patterson. Now I'm going to zip this guy up and send it up to you, and we'll keep fiddling along with this.